Ever felt like the world owes you justice? What if I told you that karma doesn't forget, and it never misses its mark? Imagine this. They hurt you, laughed as your spirit cracked. But here's the twist. Life's about to deliver payback. With laser focus and no mercy. Tired of chasing closure? Stay with me, because by the end of this video you'll discover how to channel your wounds into power and why revenge might just come for free. You don't have to plan revenge. Life will do it for you precisely, relentlessly and without hesitation. Think back to those who shattered your trust, the liars who twisted your reality, the manipulators who played you, those who betrayed your loyalty and smirked while you bled inside. They trudged off, smug in their victories, believing they'd outsmarted you, but karma was merely waiting, silent, patient, and always right on time. Karma is not careless. It never loses your trail. It logs every scar, every disguise of deception, every lonely night you endured in silence. All that pain, all those tears, their currency in life's ledger, saved up and ready to be returned, served cold, with perfect timing. But here's the twist, we're not just talking about payback. This is so much deeper. We're talking about emotional intelligence, the ability to pause before reacting. We're talking about spiritual discipline, the self-mastery that keeps your integrity intact in a world craving validation. We're talking about owning your worth when the rest of the world wants you to beg for it. This video isn't an invitation to sink to their level. It's about rising higher, with clarity, with peace, with the mindset of a leader, someone who doesn't react but rather responds. Stick with me till the end. Because once you grasp the true nature of karma and the core of character, you'll stop searching for closure like a final act. Instead, you'll begin constructing your own empire, from wisdom, from resilience, from dignity. You'll stop glancing behind. You'll start stepping forward, on purpose, with intention, with unstoppable energy. Let them believe they got under your skin. Let karma deal with their seeds of betrayal and cruelty. Because you, yes you, have a destiny to rise toward. Look at what you did. You showed up wholeheartedly. You invested honesty. You offered loyalty. You loved without needing an audience or applause. You stayed grounded while they played their twisted games. You cared, even when they cared only about themselves. You weren't flawless, but you were authentic. That's the real power, and it's exactly what they couldn't handle. In a world that mistakes purity for fragility and consistency for naivety, the biggest miscalculation is thinking you're weak. Because to love without manipulation, that's mental armor. To remain kind when the world is harsh, that's spiritual discipline in motion. To choose integrity over retaliation, that's emotional intelligence, and it's stronger than any fury-fueled comeback. Now think about your journey. How many times did you mask your pain while they celebrated your downfall? Can you feel the weight of every unspoken word you swallowed? And yet here you stand, more alive, no longer defined by their judgment. That transformation, that rebuilding, it's bigger than vengeance. It's about reclaiming your narrative and writing the next chapter with intention and dignity. By choosing not to retaliate, you rewrite the rules. You keep your peace, because once you stoop, the cycle begins anew. You gain clarity. Vengeance clouds your vision. Wisdom sharpens it. You build power. Every conscious step forward is a brick in your foundation. You see, we're not chasing karma. It's already in motion. We're not craving closure. It's an illusion made to trap us. We're stepping into a realm where character becomes your compass, where spiritual resolve becomes your shield, and your emotional intelligence becomes the engine driving your destiny. So from this moment on, stop looking back. Stop measuring your worth through their echo. Stop waiting for a leak of regret from their side. Let karma do what it does, and you, walk forward with your head high, your heart open, your spirit clear. This isn't just a message, it's a movement. From wounded to awakened, from seeking justice to embodying it, from reacting in pain to responding in power. Stay tuned, because in the rest of this video, I'm going to dive into 3 transformative practices that helped me, and thousands of others. Turn every betrayal into a breakthrough. You'll learn how to reframe wounds as clues and opportunities, not curses. Build a daily discipline that fortifies your spirit. Cultivate a response mindset that disarms conflict and empowers peace. Once you own these tools, you're not just walking away from the pain, you're walking into purpose. If you're ready to trade your suffering for strength, if you're ready to stop begging for closure and start building your legacy, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's step into this next phase together. Your mission now. Pause the video, breathe deeply, claim your power. Then keep watching, because everything that follows is the blueprint for your rise. Smarter, stronger, undeniable. Let them think they won. Let life bring the consequence. You've got a life to rise into. You poured love into a space that rewarded you with coldness. You offered something rare, real, raw, and deeply vulnerable love, hoping it would be honored. Instead, they betrayed it. They turned your open heart into a weapon against you. They used your loyalty not as something sacred, but as leverage. And once the damage was done, once your soul had been wounded, they walked away. Just like that. As if none of it mattered. As if you hadn't given them everything. But here's what most people completely miss. Just because someone left you in pieces doesn't mean you were broken to begin with. What if those pieces weren't the result of weakness, but of strength? You were holding space, carrying emotions, and offering a kind of depth they couldn't match. They didn't walk away because you were too much. They left because they were too little, too shallow to swim in the depth of your soul. Let that sink in. It wasn't you that scared them. It was your authenticity. It was your emotional richness, the mirror that exposed their emotional poverty. And maybe now, in quiet moments, you still find yourself asking, why? Why did they do it? How could they lie to your face and still smile? Why does it look like they're thriving while you're the one sitting in pain? Here's where emotional intelligence steps in. They're not thriving, they're acting. They're not at peace. They're distracted. They're not healed. They're avoiding. You see, there's a kind of person who doesn't feel regret until everything goes silent. They don't miss you until the applause fades, until the followers move on, until the dopamine rush of fake validation dries up, and all that's left is the echo of their own emptiness. That's when the noise they tried to escape catches up with them. And that is when karma knocks. But karma isn't some magical force floating in the sky. It's not about punishment. It's about alignment. It's life's natural law of restoration. It's the universe quietly putting everything and everyone back where they belong. Whatever you plant, you will grow. If you plant betrayal, disloyalty, and manipulation, don't expect to harvest peace. They sowed deception in a garden meant for love. They thought they were being clever, maybe even powerful, but the truth, they were just short-sighted. They played games in a life that plays long. They were chasing temporary highs, while the universe keeps long-term score. And trust me, the universe collects receipts, not always loud, not always fast, but always accurate. It delivers consequences with precision. So no, you don't have to interfere. You don't have to curse them, wish them harm, or chase closure. Why? Because when you move through life with self-worth, when you lead yourself with calm, grounded confidence, when you embody what I call an executive mindset, you understand something incredibly powerful. Your healing is their consequence. Your peace is their karma. Your silence speaks louder than any revenge ever could. You could scream. You could try to expose everything. But the truth is, they may never admit what they did. They might rewrite the story, twist the truth, and perform for the world like nothing ever happened. And you know what? Let them. Because karma doesn't need a confession. It doesn't need a spotlight or applause. It works quietly, silently. It waits until the mask begins to crack, until the mirror reflects the truth of who they've become. And when that moment comes, when they're forced to face themselves, it hits harder than anything you could have ever planned. So what do you do now? You rise. Not to prove them wrong, not to make them regret, not to win in a game you never asked to play. You rise because staying stuck in their betrayal is a slow form of self-destruction. You choose to heal. You turn their betrayal into your new boundary. You stop mourning people who were never built to hold your kind of emotional depth, and above all, you forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you do. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean reopening the door for them to return. It simply means you're done carrying the weight they left behind. It means you're choosing to live in the present instead of bleeding through the past. Let this be your turning point. Let their exit be your entrance into a life of higher standards, deeper peace, and unshakable clarity. Because here's the truth. When they walked away, they didn't break you. They freed you. They removed themselves from a table they were never mature enough to sit at. And now you get to rebuild. You get to grow. You get to surround yourself with people who don't just tolerate your love. They honor it. As for them, let life handle it. Because karma never misses. And one day they'll feel the weight of what they lost. Not because you told them, but because silence always delivers the loudest truth. On the surface, it might look like they're winning. They're smiling on social media, posting their highlight reels surrounded by people, lights, noise, like nothing ever happened. And you might wonder, how can someone hurt others and still seem so blessed? But remember this. Not everything that glitters is gold, and not every smile is true peace. We live in a world that often rewards performance over character, a time when we live in a world where performance is often mistaken for peace. But behind every curated image and filtered smile, there's often a truth that hasn't been faced yet. Today, more people chase likes than they chase truth. We've created a world where appearances matter more than alignment, where validation is measured in views, not values. But just because someone looks like they're moving forward doesn't mean they truly are. They may appear to be flying, but inside they're falling apart. And karma. Karma isn't always instant, but it is always precise. When someone plants poison, when they sow lies, betrayal, manipulation, and cruelty, they may not feel the consequences right away. But that doesn't mean nothing's happening. It just means the seed is growing roots first. Like a storm brewing underground, their choices are taking shape, out of sight, preparing to rise when the time is right. Because let's be clear, You don't throw mud and expect to come out clean. You don't deceive others and expect truth to shield you. You don't betray the hearts that loved you and think you'll ascend untouched. Yet still, some people believe they can outsmart life. They think they can skip steps, hurt others, burn bridges, and still end up on top of the mountain. But life doesn't work that way. The Stoic philosophers understood this long ago. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It is impossible to live a good life unless one is wise, brave, and just." The universe is not naive. It is patient, it is strategic, and it operates on unshakable laws of balance, of energy, and of truth. So when someone sows destruction behind closed doors, yet flaunts success in public, don't be fooled. You're only seeing the trailer, not the full movie. The ones who hurt others and then walk away smiling are not walking in peace. They're running, but not forward. They're running in circles, chasing new faces to impress, new thrills to numb the old guilt. And the further they run, the heavier it becomes, because guilt has a strange way of catching up. Not during the day when the world is noisy and the distractions are endless, but at night when it's just them, their choices, and a voice they can't mute, the voice that whispers, "You lost someone real. You betrayed what was pure. You burned something sacred just to feel temporarily validated." And that voice? That's not your revenge. That's their lesson, and it's louder than anything you could ever say. So what do you do while they perform their version of the truth? You stay focused. You don't measure your healing by their timeline. You don't trade your peace for performance. You build, quietly, consistently, with deep self-awareness and mental resilience. Because here's the truth most people never realize. Real success is quiet. Fake success, loud. One is built on character, the other on illusion. You've learned to focus inward, to build in silence, and to trust that karma will handle what it must. Now, it's time to understand the deeper nature of real success and why it never needs to shout to be seen. Real success doesn't need to scream. The more someone tries to prove they're okay, the more likely it is they're not. And the more someone truly heals, the less they feel the need to announce it to the world. You don't need to show off when you're walking in clarity. You don't need applause when you're living with purpose. You don't need revenge when you're building long-term success, rooted in emotional intelligence and inner discipline. While they post, you practice. While they perform, you prepare. While they chase noise, you cultivate peace. And one day, when life delivers its truth, because it always does, they'll remember you. Not the version they twisted in their stories, but the real you. The one who stood strong while they crumbled. The one who didn't clap back but climbed forward. And by then, it will be too late. Not because you're bitter, but because you've outgrown the place they left you in. So let them shine for now. Let them enjoy their spotlight. But remember, real light never fades. It grows stronger in the dark, and when karma returns, it won't knock. It will walk right in, rearrange the entire room, and whisper, "Remember what you planted." That's the moment they'll realize you didn't lose anything. They did. They lost someone with emotional depth, someone who walked with dignity, someone who embodied spiritual truth in a shallow, reactive world. So let them keep pretending they're winning. You're playing the long game, and the long game always wins. Let's make one thing clear. Karma is not your personal hitman. It's not here to serve your anger, stroke your pride, or relieve your pain. It's not about watching someone fall so you can finally feel better. That's not karma. That's revenge. And revenge belongs to the emotionally reactive, not to the emotionally elevated. Karma is a law, like gravity, like time. It doesn't care about your feelings, your opinions, or your fantasies. It simply works. It restores balance to imbalance. It brings truth to deception, stillness to chaos. And when karma moves, it moves quietly, not out of spite, but because balance is inevitable. You see, most people confuse justice with karma. Doesn't need your assistance, because life already knows how to deliver truth in silence. And once you understand that, you'll stop chasing revenge and start reclaiming your power. Retaliation. It's tempting, isn't it? When someone wounds us, the instinct is to want them to feel it too, to hurt like we hurt, because deep down, that feels fair. But the Stoics knew better. They taught us that the best revenge is not to become like your enemy. Marcus Aurelius said it best. Why? Because the moment you step into revenge, you step out of your power. You begin to live life on their terms, not yours. You allow their actions to define your path, your peace, your future. You link your healing to their suffering, and that's not healing at all. That's just another chain. True emotional intelligence is the strength to know that not every wound deserves a war. Not every betrayal deserves your energy. It's the courage to rise when every fiber of you wants to strike. It's the wisdom to wait, not for karma to punish them, but for you to evolve. Let's say it clearly, you don't need to be the instrument of karma. Life does not need your help balancing the scales. It doesn't need your screenshots. It doesn't need your clapbacks. It doesn't need your perfectly rehearsed arguments. Why? Because life is already keeping score. The universe never forgets. And spiritual law is sharper than any strategy a human could ever plot. The one who betrayed you? They're not off the hook. They're just on a journey. And that journey will reveal who they really are. It may not happen on your timeline, but it will happen, with precision, just when they've convinced themselves they've won. Just when they believe they've escaped the consequences, karma shows up with a mirror, and in that mirror, they won't see the mask. They'll see their choices, raw, unfiltered, and impossible to run from. No filters, no audience, just the reflection of everything they tried to deny. And while they're unraveling in silence, you are rising, in clarity, in dignity, in truth, because here's what makes karma so powerful. It's not loud, it doesn't announce its arrival, it doesn't need fanfare, it just rearranges everything. That fake confidence, gone. Those distractions, empty, the followers, silent. That fake peace, shattered. And when they finally look around and realize they've been surrounded by illusions, that's when the real lesson begins. Not from you, from life. That's why you don't need to chase anything, not apologies, not explanations, not even justice. Because what you're truly chasing isn't punishment, it's closure. And closure, it's not something you get from them. It's something you give yourself. The moment you decide, I don't need to be proven right to move forward. That's mental freedom. That's spiritual maturity. That's inner power. And just imagine how much more energy you'll have when you let go of needing to be right. You don't just reclaim your freedom. You begin living as the architect of your future, not the prisoner of your past. Stop. Stop scripting imaginary conversations in your head. Stop checking up on people who no longer deserve access to your life. Stop measuring your worth based on how much someone regrets losing you. You weren't born to hold grudges. You were born to grow. You weren't built for drama. You were built for legacy. And legacy isn't built on petty revenge. It's built on discipline, vision, and the courage to take the high road, even when that road feels isolating. So what should you do? Keep your energy clean. Keep your hands off the wheel of karma. Keep your eyes forward. The more you stay in alignment with your core values, the more karma moves for you without you needing to lift a finger. The ones who betray others, they carry the weight of their own dishonesty. And that weight, it only gets heavier with time. The ones who walk in truth, they carry a lightness no lie can ever touch. So let them fall without your help. Let them regret without your permission. Let them crash without your control, because you've got better things to do than wait around for someone to feel what they made you feel. You've got peace to protect. You've got a high-performance mindset to sharpen. You've got long-term growth to pursue. You don't need karma to get them, because karma was never about them. It's always been about restoring balance within you. Let's be honest. There will be moments in life when injustice feels loud and karma feels silent. You'll look around and see them thriving, posting, smiling, celebrating, as if nothing ever happened, and meanwhile you're healing in silence. You're rebuilding your confidence. You're trying to make sense of how someone can cause so much damage and just walk away untouched. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people forget. Just because you can't see the storm doesn't mean the sky isn't about to break. Just because someone hasn't crashed yet doesn't mean they're not speeding toward a wall. Karma isn't always instant. In fact, it rarely is. That's because karma doesn't punish cheaply. It teaches in ways no quick fix ever could. It doesn't deal in surface-level payback. It deals in deep correction, spiritual growth, and inner truth. When you let go of the need to witness their downfall, you don't just free yourself. You rise into a new level of emotional mastery. Alignment. In life takes time. Karma doesn't act impulsively, it recalibrates. It waits, it watches, it studies the soul, and when it moves, it doesn't move to destroy. It moves to awaken. Now pause and think about this. The ones who betrayed you, the ones who lied, the ones who walked away, they may look like they're winning right now, but they're not moving forward. They're running in circles, trapped in a cycle they don't even recognize, haunted by decisions they won't admit. And that's the scariest part, because the real storm of karma isn't some dramatic disaster. It's not a car crash. It's not public humiliation. It's waking up beside success, hand still feeling empty. It's having thousands of followers and not a single real friend. It's laying next to someone new and still dreaming about what they lost. We live in a world obsessed with speed. Everyone wants results now, revenge. Now justice now, but karma doesn't move by your watch. It moves on divine timing, and what is divine is never in a rush. Just because you can't see the consequences doesn't mean they aren't building. Some people are walking in the sunshine, while a storm brews quietly behind them. And when it hits clean. No theatrics, no explosions, just clarity. The kind that can't be faked. The kind that forces them to see themselves completely unfiltered. That's why patience is a power move. When you no longer need to witness their collapse, you evolve. You shift from emotional reactivity to mental discipline. From obsession to clarity, from pain to purpose. You stop needing proof because you trust the process. You stop checking their pages because you realize their life is no longer your concern. And that's exactly when karma begins to work, fully, freely. Because karma doesn't work when you're obsessed with its schedule. It works best when you've released control. A Stoic doesn't just trust logic. He trusts cause and effect. He understands that reality has structure, and no one escapes the consequences of what they sow. Seneca once said, "Time heals what? Reason cannot." And to that I'll add, time also reveals what pride tries to hide. No mask lasts forever, no lie outlives the truth, and no betrayal stays hidden once the mirror shows up. So the next time you wonder, is karma really working? Remember this, the universe doesn't miss, it's just exact, it's just wise, it's just not in a hurry. When you stop waiting for karma to bring justice, you enter the highest level of emotional maturity, where your peace is no longer tied to someone else's pain. But that doesn't mean karma has forgotten its work. Not at all. Life always knows the exact moment when the truth should show up. And when it comes late, it doesn't arrive quietly. It arrives harder precisely when they least expect it. Not to punish, but to reflect. Not to harm, but to correct. Not for your satisfaction, but for their awakening. What's your role in this process? Stay still, stay clean, stay aligned. Because when you focus on your own peace, you no longer need their pain to feel whole. You've outgrown the chapter where their karma was any of your business. Now you've stepped into a new mindset, executive clarity, where your energy is reserved for purpose, for growth, and for real connections. So if you're not seeing justice yet, if it feels like the wrong people keep winning, relax. It's not over. It's just not visible yet. And when it comes, and trust me, it will come. It won't show up with loud announcements, it won't ask for permission. It will walk in silently, but it will be unmistakable and unstoppable. That's karma. And karma never misses. They may have walked away, but they didn't walk away clean. They lied. They betrayed. They chose ego over truth, silence over honesty, power over love. And on the outside, they seem just fine. But here's what most people won't tell you. They didn't just lose you. They lost something far more valuable, and most of them won't realize it until it's far too late. Because when someone walks away from someone real, they think they're gaining freedom. But what they're actually losing is spiritual security. You were their mirror, reflecting their best self back to them. You were the one who showed up with raw love, loyalty, and mental stability. But they mistook your grounded energy for weakness. They believed they could trade you in for something more exciting, more sparkly. And they couldn't have been more wrong, because what they gave up wasn't just a person. They gave up a foundation. They gave up a rare kind of presence that only comes from emotional intelligence and deep soul work. Don't be fooled by the highlight reels. They might look like they've moved on. They might smile in photos. They might post like they're thriving. But inside they feel the loss. Not all at once, but in waves. It creeps in during the quiet moments. It follows the parties, the posts, the applause. It visits them late at night, when the room is still. That's when your absence echoes the loudest, because you weren't just love. You were clarity. You were consistency. You were truth. You were the one who... They may have lost you, but what they truly lost was something far more rare, genuine presence in a world full of pretense. And that is not easily replaced. You stayed grounded in a world full of shifting masks, and one day they'll feel that. They'll feel it when they try to connect with someone new. But the connection is shallow, transactional and hollow. They'll start to miss it. Miss the way you could read between their words, miss the way you felt their energy shift, even before they said a thing. Miss the way you loved them without keeping score, without keeping count, without needing to win. That wasn't ordinary. That was soul-level loyalty. That was rare. And the more they look for it in others, the more frustrated they'll become, because no one else brings what you brought: peace, depth, emotional grounding. Here's the truth: they won't talk about it. They won't post about it. They'll even convince themselves that it wasn't that deep. But regret doesn't scream. It whispers. It seeps into the cracks of their confidence. It slowly erodes their executive mindset from the inside out. They start to question their choices, not in public but in the mirror. And the mirror, it never lies. While they thought they were leveling up, they were actually stepping down. From a place of emotional truth into a space of ego-driven noise. They didn't upgrade. They downgraded. From a spiritual connection to an emotional distraction. And here's the hardest truth of all. They may never say sorry. Their pride won't let them. Their ego will rewrite the story just so they can sleep at night. But the subconscious, it doesn't lie. It remembers everything. And eventually, when life humbles them, when their games stop working, when their manipulation falls flat, when their new circle stops feeling like home, they'll remember you, not for how much you loved them, but for how deeply they betrayed that love. Let that sink in. They didn't just lose your presence. They lost access to something real in a world that's full of fake. They lost the one person who would have stood by them, even in the storm. And here's what you need to understand: that loss was their choice. Your healing is your own. You don't need to chase closure. You don't need to wait for an apology. You don't even need them to realize what they lost, because you already know what you gave. You gave truth. You gave light. You gave presence. So, let them perform. Let them pretend. Let them smile through the emptiness. That's no longer your concern. They may have lost you without even realizing it. But when your silence speaks louder than any reaction, and truth no longer needs proof, that's when you step fully into a new season, a season of transformation. From this point on, your focus is forward. You're not bitter. You're becoming better. You're not broken. You're becoming whole. You're not waiting, you're rising. Because the most powerful comeback in life isn't revenge, it's peace, and peace. That's the one thing they can't fake, can't buy, and can't steal from you. You didn't lose. They did. And they'll feel it right when karma taps them on the shoulder and whispers, "You lost the rarest soul you ever touched, and you'll never touch it again." Let's get one thing straight. Karma is not punishment. It's not vengeance, and it's definitely not some shadowy figure waiting to settle your emotional scores. Karma is precision. It's alignment, not anger. A divine balancing system built into the fabric of the universe. Like gravity, like cause and effect. Karma doesn't aim to destroy, it exists to restore. And here's where many people get it wrong. They believe if they don't get caught, they've gotten away with it. But what they fail to see is this: the universe is always keeping receipts. Every betrayal, every lie, every manipulation of a pure heart, it's all recorded. Not just as energy, but as consequence. It may not hit tomorrow. It may not hit next month. But when it does, it hits with surgical precision, because karma doesn't act out of emotion like we do. It moves with spiritual discipline, never early, never late, only right on time, to expose, to humble, to realign. Here's the Stoic truth. No one escapes the harvest of their own seeds. You can't sow betrayal and expect loyalty. You can't plant manipulation and expect love. You can't water greed and expect gratitude. It doesn't matter how well someone hides. You can curate your feed. You can smile for the crowd. But you cannot outrun universal law. Because karma doesn't care about aesthetics. It's not fooled by your followers. It doesn't respond to performance. It responds to energy. And there's a reason some people feel off, even when everything in their life looks good. They're financially stable, they're socially busy, but deep inside, something feels missing. They may look fine from the outside, still smiling, still winning, but something beneath the surface is starting to crack. And that's no coincidence. That's what happens when you drift too far from your true alignment. They may still be admired, they may still appear successful, but inside, there's a growing weight, a subtle tightening in the chest, a constant, unsettling feeling they can't shake. That's not anxiety, that's alignment breaking down. That's their inner system whispering, "You're out of integrity and the cost is coming." Because when someone refuses to learn through grace, life will teach them through loss. It won't isolate them to punish them. It isolates them to reveal them. Because pain is the tuition for lessons that were ignored. And here's the brutal beauty of it all. You don't have to be the teacher. You don't need to interfere. You don't have to lower your frequency to make them pay. All you have to do is step back and let alignment do what it does best. Now let me speak to your soul for a moment. You're not crazy for feeling the shift. You're not overthinking. You're not bitter. You are simply witnessing a universal law in motion, a cosmic equation resolving itself, one choice at a time. And your role in that, it's not to clap, not to mock, not to cheer when they fall. Your role is to stay grounded, to protect your peace, to keep choosing integrity over impulse, purpose over pride, forgiveness over control, because that is true strength. Karma doesn't hit hardest when it's loud. It hits hardest when it's undeniable. When the same games they played now get played on them. When the same lies they once used are turned against them. When the people they chose over you betray them. That's not revenge. That's the mirror. And karma always holds that mirror steady. So stop watching their timeline. Stop checking if they got theirs, because the longer karma takes, the more precise its return will be. It's not late. It's loading. And in the meantime, keep your soul clean. Keep your work excellent. Keep planting peace, love, and truth. Because when karma finally arrives, it will be so beautiful, so undeniably aligned, that you'll look back and think, I'm glad they left. Because if they hadn't, they would have blocked the blessing. Regret doesn't wear a name tag. It doesn't knock on the door. It doesn't post status updates. But it always shows up, not with fire, not with noise, but with a silence. That cannot be escaped. When the spotlight fades, when the crowd disappears, and the noise dies down, there's only one voice left, the one they've been running from all along, their own. In the quiet moments when the world finally goes silent, when there's no audience to impress, no status to maintain, there's only one voice left echoing in the room, and it's the one they've avoided the most. They thought they got away with it. They thought ghosting you, lying to you, and walking out without a word was the end of the story. But what they didn't know was this. You don't need to fall apart for karma to begin. Sometimes the real consequence is having to watch you rise. Let's be brutally honest, they'll never post their punishment. You won't find regret written in their Instagram captions. You won't hear confessions in their party laughter, but it's there. It lives in their silence. It lingers when the lights go out. It haunts them when they look in the mirror and see someone who traded authenticity for attention, truth for ego, you for temporary validation. Regret is the kind of storm that looks like calm. It's the pause in their scroll when they see your success. It's the tightness in their chest when they realize you did what they never believed you could. You healed without them. And that's the consequence they never saw coming. They don't regret leaving right away. Regret moves in slowly. Doubt creeps in when their fake friendships collapse. It whispers when they're surrounded by users. It shows up when they lie next to someone new and still feel utterly empty. Not because you weren't enough, but because they weren't ready for someone so real, so grounded, so emotionally intelligent, so deeply rooted in moral clarity. Here's the paradox they now live in. They miss you, but they'll never say it. They know they lost something sacred, but pride keeps their lips sealed. They wish they could turn back time, but ego rewrites the past just to help them sleep at night. So instead of apologizing, they perform. They post louder, they laugh harder, they pretend longer. But inside, there's a growing vacuum, a quiet knowing that while they were busy playing roles, you were rising, you were building, you were developing high-performance habits. You were anchoring yourself in spiritual strength. You were creating a life aligned with peace, purpose, and truth. And in that alignment, their absence became irrelevant, because you've stepped into rooms they were never brave enough to enter. You grew beyond them, not out of bitterness, but out of purpose. You've stepped into rooms they were never meant to enter, and now they know it. They feel it. They see it from the sidelines. They were never meant to walk this path with you. And deep down they feel that truth. They see it in your glow, your strength, your steady rise. Still they sit on the sidelines, pretending not to care. But inside, a quiet voice wonders, what if I hadn't messed it all up? Here's the powerful truth. Their regret is not your closure. You don't need their confession to move forward. You don't need their apology to feel peace. You don't need a "you were right" to reclaim your power. Because the silence they've given you, that speaks louder than anything they could ever say. And your progress, that's the response they never expected. Now lean into this. Regret doesn't land all at once. It builds. It grows slowly with each milestone you reach. Every new win, every transformation, every quiet glow-up that says, I healed without you. And that weight, it doesn't come from your revenge. It comes from life showing them the truth. They mishandled something sacred, because when life teaches, it doesn't negotiate. It doesn't whisper. It roars. In their own voice, through their own memories, inside their own loneliness. Let's be absolutely clear, you are not their punishment. You are their lesson. And the most powerful lessons don't arrive wrapped in pain. They arrive wrapped in absence. When the one who was loyal, grounded, real, is no longer available. That's when the mirror shows up. Not a mirror of vanity, but a mirror of truth. And in that reflection, they see what they broke. Not just in you, but in themselves. So don't look back. Don't stalk their stories. Don't wait for them to wake up and finally realize what they lost. Because here's the thing, they already have. They just don't have the courage to face it, and honestly, that's not your problem. You're too busy living, too busy growing, too busy becoming the person they were never meant to journey with. Let them wrestle with regret. Let them carry the weight of their own choices. Let karma deliver the echo they can't ignore, and you keep walking. Keep walking toward your peace, your truth, your light. Because yes, regret may be loud, but your peace is louder. And let's get one more thing straight. Forgiveness is not weakness, it's not surrender. It's not about letting them off the hook. Forgiveness is how you take your power back. It's how you stop bleeding from a wound someone else caused. When you choose to forgive, You're not rewriting the past, you're rewriting your future. You're not excusing the betrayal, you're freeing yourself from it. Forgiveness isn't about letting them off the hook. It's not about forgetting what happened. It's not about pretending the pain didn't exist. And it's definitely not about them winning. Forgiveness is about you. It's how you release yourself from the emotional prison where their betrayal still holds the key. It's how you stop giving free rent to bitterness in a space that was meant for your peace. Let me say it clearly. Forgiveness is not weakness. It's not surrender. It's not approval. Forgiveness is a high-performance decision. It is emotional intelligence in motion. It's how you take your power back. You can't carry the burden of someone else's betrayal and expect to run toward your destiny at full speed. You can't climb the mountain of purpose while dragging the dead weight of resentment behind you. And when it eventually breaks you, it won't be because you're weak, but because you were never meant to carry what doesn't belong to you. The Stoics knew this well. Too many people today forget. To forgive is to be free. To hold on is to be chained, not to the person but to the past. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike the one who caused the injury." Read that again. This isn't about getting even. It's about rising above. It's about proving to yourself that their darkness can't define your future. But make no mistake, forgiveness is not passive. It is fierce. It is intentional. It is an act of courage. It's standing face to face with your pain and saying, "I see you, I feel you, but I'm not letting you lead me anymore." It's cutting the invisible spiritual contract that kept you tied to their bad decision. It's saying, "I didn't deserve that betrayal, but I absolutely deserve the peace that comes when I release it." You might never get the apology. You might never hear "I was wrong." You might never receive the closure you hoped for. But guess what? You don't need it. Why? Because your peace doesn't require their permission. Let them live in denial. Let them rewrite the story. Let them perform like they were the victim. Your healing doesn't depend on their awakening. Your power doesn't wait for their confession. Forgiveness is how you stop replaying the same painful scene every night in your mind. It's how you say enough and begin writing a new chapter, one where your heart leads, your peace thrives, and your energy is finally your own again. After everything, you're no longer a hostage to someone else's betrayal. You're now the author of your next chapter. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending nothing happened. It means reclaiming your energy and redirecting it toward what truly matters: your purpose, your growth, your higher standards for how life will meet you from this point forward. The truth is, some people will never evolve enough to take responsibility for what they did. Some will convince themselves you were the problem. Others will lie, twist facts, rewrite history, and laugh about it, just so they can sleep at night. Let them. Because your role is not to fix their story. Your role is to walk away from it. The longer you stay tied to pain, the longer you delay your power. And here's a truth that could set your soul free. Forgiveness doesn't make you soft. It makes you strategic. It sharpens your mind, strengthens your emotional resilience, and lifts you to a higher spiritual plane. It clears the mental clutter so you can operate at your highest level, as a leader, a creator, a visionary human, aligned with peace and purpose. That's not weakness, that's elite discipline. So if you've been waiting for the right moment to forgive, don't do it for them. Do it for you, because you deserve clarity. You deserve focus. You deserve to stop fighting shadows in your mind and start building a reality rooted in peace and power. Let the past keep itself. Let karma do its job. Let life hand out consequences. And you rise. Because the most powerful move isn't revenge. It isn't even silence. It's liberation. And that liberation begins the moment you choose forgiveness. Let's get this straight. Karma isn't some magical spirit floating above with a clipboard. It's not your emotional hitman. It's not vengeance. It's not punishment. Karma is precision. It's a natural law, like gravity, like time, like cause and effect. It's written in silence, enforced by time, sealed in truth, and when it arrives, it doesn't knock. It walks in like a storm, rearranging the room, exposing everything. So if you've ever been betrayed, discarded, or used by someone you gave your all to, hear this. You are not broken. You are simply becoming. Because the person who rises from pain with grace, who seeks peace instead of revenge, who doesn't fight to be seen but walks forward with quiet strength, that person becomes unstoppable. Let them believe they've won. Let them keep smiling in pictures, performing for the world, pretending they never needed someone like you. Let them keep chasing moments, because when karma finally taps them on the shoulder in the silence of the night, it won't be your voice they hear. It'll be their own conscience whispering truths they buried, chances they ruined, and the rare souls they let slip away. You don't have to fight back. You don't have to chase closure. You don't need to prove your worth through retaliation, because your growth, your quiet elevation, your peace, that's the loudest revenge of all. And if you're still here, still standing, still healing, still choosing love and peace in a world that feeds on drama and pain, then you, my friend, are not a victim of betrayal. You are living, breathing proof that karma moves in silence, but always in your favor. If this message speaks to something inside you, if you've ever stayed silent when it hurt, loved deeply and lost in silence, then this video was meant for you. Don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, if even one truth echoed in your soul, subscribe to Life Through Stoicism, because here we don't just survive, we rise. And in the comments, tell us, what has karma taught you that no one else ever could? Your story might be the light for someone still walking through the dark. We're not just building a channel, we're building a movement of warriors, thinkers, and grounded leaders, people who choose wisdom over rage, clarity over confusion, and self-mastery over emotional chaos. People like you. This isn't just content. This is a calling. And if you've made it this far, you're already answering it. Welcome to the tribe. We'll see you in the next one.